my friends? We are back. It is November 7th, 2018, 7:58 p.m. All right, current temperatures. Once again, we are just getting colder and colder. They're calling this a cold blast. This is coming from the northern end of the U.S., dipping down from Canada. Once again, our jet stream is allowing all this cold air down into the states, the Midwest, the Central Plains. Many of these areas are going to be experiencing their first accumulation of snow in the next couple days. And then, even after that, we have a more significant situation that is starting to brew and looking more and more prominent as the data comes in. But check out some of these temperatures, guys. North Dakota, South Dakota, we are in the low teens, 14 degrees. Move over north, Montana, rather. We have 16, 15, just very, very cold. And what's going to happen is this is beginning to dip down and it's going to cross right over the Great Lakes. And at the same time, we have some significant weather that is basically major thunderstorms and rain going on from Louisiana through Mississippi, Alabama, Panhandle, Florida, and South Carolina. And what's going to happen, which I'm going to show you in these coming charts, is this warm moisture from the Gulf is going to move its way up the Northeast just as this dip comes down and meets it right over the Great Lakes. And that's where we're going to get our accumulations. Once again, more accumulation than not along the east parts of the Great Lakes due to lake effect snow. Whenever you have that wind moving west to east across the Great Lakes, these lakes are big enough to affect the weather. That is why we are constantly talking about areas such as Buffalo and Watertown, especially in New York, by Lake Erie. Those are always areas that are hit hard. But as of right now, over the next couple days, we're going to start seeing some snowfall in the Central Plains all the way to the Great Lakes, and we're going to look at that now. So down here you could see those storms beginning to brew up down by the south. These are warm storms, thunderstorms, heavy rainfall. This is the farthest frame I can get to, but you can clearly see the cold air up top here, which is where that jet stream dip is. And then down here where it's much warmer, we all know that this air flows up and then comes up into the northeast, and it's going to mix with this cold air and begin to do its spin. And we are looking at our possible first nor'easter of the season, and this nor'easter may actually bring a significant amount of snow to areas of New York and Pennsylvania. And from the looks of it, even though it's going to be cold, it may be more of a wind and pretty severe rain event for the coastal areas like Massachusetts and Long Island that we always talk about that tend to stick out into the Atlantic Ocean. As the winter goes on, though, and we continue to see these nor'easter type situations, those areas are going to be the ones hit the hardest because any moisture that touches this cold air becomes snow once we get to that point in time in the season where it's just straight up cold every day. So, like I said, this is frame 200, so you can see the beginning of these storms brewing down in the south. This is going to eventually move up and meet up with this very, very cold blast of air, which is going to be a little bit of a mix of snow and rain. The higher elevations will get the snow, and then the mid area here by the Great Lakes and the Midwest will see their first snowfall of the season. Now let's look at this on the tropical tidbits charts because we can look into the future and see where this is going to move. So as you watch, you could see the rain here. We are set for current time November 8th, which is the next frame after the 7th. Even though tonight is the 7th, this is where basically we are right now as far as the weather. You can match up this the deep greens here with these storms here. So we are lined up correctly. Now, as we move forward, there's two events that are going to happen. One's going to be between now and the end of the 10th. So you can see here that that cold blast of air that's going to bring the snow to the Midwest, which I brought up an article for. You can see here, all these areas here are going to get at least a dusting. Higher elevations will get the higher amounts of snow. And then you could see here that they, the Weather Channel at least, they put the snowflakes on the maps. It's finally happened, folks. We have to deal with it. Here it comes. First real snow of the season coming for some. Jet stream is dipping to the south, letting the cold air in behind it. We talk about that all the time, about how when the jet stream dips down, the cold air from the polar and then comes through Canada, comes right down to the U.S. When we get those up dips, that's when the warm air is allowed up. So that is nutshell simple as I could put it for you guys. It's a very straightforward situation. Cold air comes down when it's allowed to, and then we got the Gulf here with the warm air coming up, just like we showed with Florida. That those storms brewing here, very warm air, lightning, thunderstorms. That's going to make its way up this way, and just as that cold front meets it right there, we're going to see that counterclockwise spin, and that's where our nor'easters come from. So, like I said, there are two situations that are going to happen. The first of which is going to be between the 8th, 9th, and 10th, which is Thursday, Friday, Saturday. That's going to drop snow more in the Central Plains, Great Lakes region. And then as we move from the 10th through the 13th, that is where we're going to see the likeliness of a nor'easter, a pretty significant one at that. And I'm going to show you that on the charts as well. This is an accumulation rate over the next 5 days of moisture. So between the 7th and the 8th, or rather the 8th and the 13th, this is what we can expect as far as moisture. We could see a lot of it here down in the Gulf states, Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, Georgia, the Panhandle of Florida. We got some pretty significant stuff going on off the coast of North Carolina. The edge border area of North Carolina should be aware of that they should be expecting some rain as this storm system, low pressure system in Florida begins to move its way up the northeast, and so on and so forth. So let's check out this second set of weather we're going to be dealing with. So here's the first one once again. So as we move into the 9th and 10th, you're going to see we get almost that nor'easter look. You see the blues here? That is snow. That is what is going to bring those first accumulations into the Central Plains. That's why they're saying Central Plains first, Great Lakes second, and then the Northeast by the 13th could be dealing with a full-blown nor'easter. Now watch this low pressure system as it moves out. We're going to see some rain in the Northeast in areas of New York, Chesapeake Bay, Long Island, so a little bit more severe as you get into Massachusetts and that extended area of Connecticut in the ocean. We got the eastern tip of Long Island in there, and then it's going to move up through Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont, and then through Nova Scotia. Keep in mind, most of the cold air and snow is still in Canada at this point. Again, that is whipping in a counterclockwise motion. That is why we're going to see snow and the first snowfall in some of these states here, such as Iowa, Illinois, Indiana, Michigan, Ohio, just these upper states here just under the Great Lakes. So that is worth watching. Definitely going to be a rain event, going to be soggy. These aren't exact maps, so there may be some snow in some of these areas where you see green. They're not always exact, but this second one here is what we need to focus on, in my opinion. And we're going to get a little bit of a break between the 10th, 11th, and 12th. But it's going to be chilly, guys. This dip in the jet stream is not going anywhere anytime soon. It is still a little warmer in the Gulf, so the reason for this is that the storms are being brewed down in the Gulf, whether that moisture comes from the Pacific across Mexico into the Gulf, or if it comes up from the Caribbean itself. It does not matter. It still accumulates in this area in the Gulf, and then is always pushed up in this area because we have the high pressure in the ocean, which pins it against the coast of the east coast of the United States, and then we have the high pressure bubble, or the high pressure jet stream, pressing this way. So it really has nowhere to go but this way. And then once that cold air meets the moisture as it gets to the northeast, we get that counterclockwise spin. Then we have our nor'easter. Now check this out. This one's much different. This is as we move into the 12th. And then very quickly, it's still the 13th here, but by the end of the 13th, we have a full-blown nor'easter in the northeast. But again, I know I'm repeating myself, but same situation. The severe weather in Florida, in the Panhandle, it's where it's all starting. This is the moisture that is going to cause the nor'easter once it hits this cold air. And you can see that as we move into the end of the 13th. Right there is where we need to really, really be on watch. Now you can see most of New York, pretty much all of Pennsylvania except for the southeast corner, all of West Virginia, parts of West Virginia, and also still parts of the areas near the Great Lakes and Michigan, and possibly even the Central Plains could still be involved with this. But you can see that the low pressure now is just off the coast of, Long Island, New Jersey, Massachusetts. So half on the ocean, half off the ocean, that always is a worse situation than when you see the low pressure over land. That allows this counterclockwise rotation to use this water coming from the south that is warm to mix with the cold air, and that is what's causing the snow. So our first true nor'easter, first accumulation snowfall, I believe, especially in the Northeast, is going to be November 13th and 14th, maybe even a little sooner, and could extend later. But nonetheless, guys, we need to start preparing for the snow situations. And this looks like to be somewhat of a repeating cycle. Now, there looks to be somewhat of a break as far as moisture. Again, keep in mind, this dip in the jet stream is not going anywhere for a while, so it's going to be cold. The sun may be out, but it's going to be chilly. Don't get me wrong. And the last thing I wanted to show you is one more low pressure system that's coming in around the 23rd, which seems pretty prominent. This will more than likely follow the same path as what I've just shown you. You can see these blue lines here, high pressure above in Canada. That is going to pin this moisture down, and as it gets closer to the east coast of the U.S., that's when it's going to be allowed to come up this way, and we could see another nor'easter based off of just this data alone. And when you start seeing these dip and they want to kind of come inside these areas here, it almost wants to lift it up and bring it up into this area, and anything that hits this area starts spinning counterclockwise. Once again, mixing with the cold air, typical nor'easter. So we could be looking at another one. There's just not enough data to look at it yet. But as far as the data that's within range of a educated guess, or not so much a guarantee, you can never guarantee anything, but you could see here by the 13th we have quite a mess going on here, and that is after what they're expecting to be the first snowfall, which is this, over the Central Plains, Great Lakes area, some accumulations 3 to 5 inches near Buffalo, Watertown, and even Michigan is involved in that too. So basically anywhere from Florida, Panhandle, or should I say Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama Panhandle, and then moisture all the way up the southeast states. And then as we get towards the Chesapeake Bay, that's when things start cooling down, and that is when we're going to start seeing our mix of rain, snow, slush, all the fun stuff that we just all missed over this summer while we were watching the hurricanes. So yes, we are in transition period, my friends. That is this time of year. I'll give you a little bit of a view from up above. We'll line it up with current time, which is right about here, our last frame of the 7th. So this is that moisture that just moved out, and we can see that by the 9th, 10th, and 11th, that is what we're talking about here. That is going to dump that snow here in the mid-states and then to the Great Lakes. And then as we move into the 11th, 12th, and 13th, you're going to see how this second one is going to be pretty intense. You get those deep purples there. That is where those high winds are, and that's when we deal with the nor'easters. If you guys remember one of those nor'easters we had back in March, they recorded 90-plus mile-an-hour winds in Nantucket. Now, I'm not saying that's what we're going to have, but these purples were present during that time. So when you see these deep purple colors, you know that that is a pretty significant situation. Most significant so far. If I backtrack to this type of nor'easter, you could see there's not much purple involved in this. It's more reds and yellows, more moisture, warmer air. And then as we move into the second one that we really need to focus on for the 13th and the 14th, that is what I want us to really look at here. So we're talking November 13th. That is about 6 days away. Definitely within the realm of something to look out for, to put it lightly. We already checked this chart out. We can get rid of that one. And let's see here. I believe that's it for now. So basically they're calling for the first accumulation of snow for the mid-plains, and then the Great Lakes will get hit a little bit harder due to the lake effect snow. Anything to the east of those lakes, usually because of the movement of our weather west to east, it crosses over the Great Lakes. The Great Lakes affect that weather, and then unfortunately the east sides of these lakes get the brunt of it, as you can tell with Watertown and Buffalo. So that's what we got for now, guys. We're looking towards a nor'easter by the 13th. I don't see the one earlier being a nor'easter, but it will bring snow and it will bring that cold air and it will remind us of what we've been missing for the last 4 or 5 months. So, with that said, guys, I'll let you go. Quick video. Just wanted to update you on that. I have a few other things I'm working on. I'm trying to get out as many videos as possible before we start our work week. Now, I'm going to be getting videos out during those days. So, for those of you that have gone 3 and 4 days without seeing a video, that will change. We're just adjusting to our schedule. I know I've mentioned this a few times now, but for those of you that have not heard, we just recently moved. We both recently just started new jobs, and unfortunately, that takes priority as of right now. But of course, you all know this is our favorite thing to do. We love bringing you guys these weather updates and news stories. A lot of interaction with our video from yesterday about what that explosion was in Nevada. I've reached out to some friends on YouTube to see if they can dig into it that spend more time on the news part of things, which I also want to do. I want to stick to weather, of course. As I said, weather is one of my biggest passions. But, sometimes there are other things going on in the world that are very interesting to people like myself. I do have other interests in life. So we are going to be mixing in a lot of other cool, interesting stuff in this channel. And we're also going to get Caroline's channel going. For those of you that are close with her, we have a lot of great stuff planned for her channel as well. So we're going to get a team going. We're going to get an into thin air army, so to say. So we can start getting some more information out there, get people talking, submitting their own pictures and videos. I would love for you guys to do that. Submit pictures of any weather or phenomenon you see or any information. I do get a lot of messages on Instagram, and for those of you that I've not answered yet, please be patient. I love to answer each and every one of you. It's all about time. Not enough hours in a day. Even if there was 30 hours a day, there still would not be enough time, but I will get to you guys. I respect each and every one of you, and I just want to say thank you for that. So, all right, enough rambling. With that said, we got some weather coming, guys. It's the winter season, and we need to prepare. All right, guys, I'll talk to you all very soon. Have a wonderful evening. We'll talk tomorrow. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.